My name is Blythe Morrow. I'm a SQL groupie. I'm a marketing person that really loves SQL Server and loves to tell the SQL Server story. I own PaperSword B2B, and we inherited GroupBy from the one and the only Brent Ozar. So today we're going to move on with our very first session. So we're going to be talking about DBA tools, which I'm really excited to hear about. I'm just always excited to hear anything about DBA tools. But Daniel Suarez is going to kick off the GroupBy conference. So he is based out of Montreal today. Who knows where he'll be next, but he's a SQL Server consultant who specializes in performance tuning, high availability, and he's just a really great DBA to learn from and to do training from. So Daniel, I'll get you to kick it off. Welcome.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Blake. Well, hello everyone. Hope you're doing great, and first of all, I hope you're doing healthy, which is most important
Amen, sir.
nowadays. Thank you for joining. I see there are a lot of people over there, and I hope we can enjoy this session today. As Blake was mentioning, we're going to be talking about how to manage SQL Server by using DBA tools. Okay, and as she was also saying, we are opening Group by Conf for the America's track. So this is the very first session. So let's get started, okay? Well, as Blythe was mentioning, just a little bit about me. I'm a SQL Server consultant. I'm from Uruguay. I moved to Canada just a couple of years ago. I've been working with SQL Server since 1998, which is a lot of years. And now I live in Montreal. I don't speak French yet. This is something that I really would like to do, but not yet. And this is my contact information, just in case you need to ask me something, to clarify something after this session. Please feel free to reach out to me. You can use any of the available ways. You can send me an email. You can contact me via Twitter or via LinkedIn. Any of them is fine. Just feel free to contact me. We are a community and we are here to help whenever possible, of course. Okay, I'll do my best to reply as soon as possible. So feel free to to ask anything you need, of course, during this session and after that. Okay. Well, let's talk about this presentation. This is an entry level presentation. I would like to say it entry plus. Why? Because even though we are starting from scratch, we are going to go a bit deeper, because we need to run stuff which sometimes is not that straightforward when it comes to managing SQL Server, and that's what we are going to be doing today. What is the audience, just to make sure this is the right fit for you, and just to make sure we're on the same page. The audience is, if you're a DBA, or even if you don't play a full DBA role, but you are in charge of a few instances or something that you need to manage frequently. And if you're not using DBA tools, probably you are doing things in the hard way. Today, we're going to share with you a different way to do your regular stuff by using DBA tools. And by the end of this session, you will realize that you will be saving a lot of time just by doing the same things that you do today, only by using DBA tools. If after the end of this session, you are able to start using DBA tools right away, so the mission is accomplished. So the objective for this session is to provide all the needed tools and all you need to make sure that you have a good adoption of the DBA tools platform. Okay. Well, a bit more about this presentation. What are we going to be covering? First of all, what is DBA tools? Okay, even though this is a concept that most of you might already know, actually we need to define what is DBA tools and what do we need to run it, and what DBA tool is going to give us to make our life easier in a way. Most of the presentation is going to be, driven by demo. It's going to be practical. So we are going to spend most of the time just by sharing some scripts and by running the same task that we run on a daily basis, but using DBA tools commands that are available. At the end of the session, we're going to save some time for your questions. So you will have plenty of space to, to propose questions, and we're going to get them answered. After the session, I'm going to be publishing all the scripts I'm going to be sharing here in GitHub, and this is the address. So, and the video for this presentation is going to be uploaded. This is going to take some time, but the scripts are going to be published right away after this session. Okay, all of them, which are about 10 scripts, are going to be uploaded, and you can feel free to get them and to provide feedback as well. Okay, so no more introduction. Let's go deeper to the presentation. Okay, just if you have any doubt or something, just let me know. Feel free to drop a line here. Okay, I think there are some people writing here. Okay, just greetings. Okay, hello everyone from Austria. A lot of people over there. Glad to meet you, and really
Yeah,
happy.
we
Love the
don't have a
opportunity.
question quite yet, but I'm here. I'm your virtual
Perfect.
session assistant.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, okay. Let's move forward then. Well, as a DBA, we have a different tasks that we usually perform. And some of them are requested by different areas, and some of them are just run by ourselves because we are responsible for different instances. This involves backing up, migrating from one server to another server, run new deployments, deploy new databases, perform restores, tuning databases or queries, or any kind of stuff, and upgrading and monitoring. If we handle different on-premises mostly deployments, those are the tasks that we usually have to deal with. Okay, this is sometimes this is hard to explain because we do a lot of stuff in different areas, but at the end we are responsible, okay, for all the SQL Server instance and all everything that is contained in it. Okay, so if we have if we have to describe in a way the DBA role and what are the tasks that we have to do, we could categorize them in these sections. Okay, and what do we do? What do we use? What is in our toolbox in order to achieve this? Well, we'll use Management Studio, and we are now using Azure Data Studio, which is great. But we always have a mix of different tools, okay, that allow us to complete all the needed tasks. Sometimes we use Management Studio, sometimes we use Azure Data Studio, sometimes we run traces, and all different stuff trying to accomplish our task, and that's correct. But there was room for something that may be a kind of glue to make all things work together, and that's a place where DBA tools was born. Okay, so let's talk about what is DBA tools. DBA tools is a 100% free PowerShell module. It's built on top of PowerShell. Of course, we all know PowerShell, at least just the very basic concept. But someday, a set of people, community from the community, started to build this platform. Nowadays, it is a platform actually, even though it is a module technically. I consider it as a platform because it is huge at the moment, 100% free, and it is in constant evolution. Around 150 contributors are continuously, evolving the product, new features, fixing existing bugs, and different kinds of evolution are performed on the module. Even though it started with 150 commands, nowadays and there are 590, actually 592. I upgraded yesterday and they went to new features, and which is a lot. And all the features are categorized in different categories, even though it's redundant. And here in this presentation, in this slide, we can see what are the different categories that all the commands are organized into, which means that no matter what we need to do, we will find an appropriate command for it, and it's going to be included in DBA tools. Okay, so these are the different categories. It's an extract from the DBA tools website. So once you click on any of the categories, you will find where are all the available commands for the chosen category. Okay, and now what we are going to be doing is to start going deeper in what are the categories and where are the actions that we can run for each category and for this kind of command available here. Okay, and okay, let's move forward. First of all, we are going to work with Dbatools. We need to understand what kind of support it provides. Okay, even though there are just a few commands that are intended for other services than the SQL Server engine, Dbatools is intended at managing the engine. Okay, so this is practically the 99%. There are just a few features that allow you to just run a few tweaks, you know, for in particular for reporting services, but this is a tool oriented to managing the SQL Server engine. Okay, it provides support for SQL Server 2000 and higher. Okay, the newer the version is, I mean the SQL version is, the more commands are available. So that means that that's not a limitation from DBA tools. Actually, that's a limitation from that's part of the evolution from SQL Server, because in SQL Server 2000 there were not as many features or command or objects available for DBA tools to benefit from, which means that the newer the version of SQL Server is, the more features and commands are available. Okay. When it comes to editions, all the editions are supported from Express through Enterprise. No matter what edition you are dealing with, DBA Tools is going to cover all of them. When it comes to deployment, you can manage even default instances or named ones. No, it doesn't matter how you deployed it. You will be covered by DBL tools because both default instance and named instance are both supported. When it comes to infrastructure deployment, you can use it for standalone servers. You can run it on clusters, both in failover cluster instances or always on availability groups. There are plenty of commands that will allow us to manage the different features for any server and perform different kind of tasks related to managing both clusters or standalone servers. When it comes to platforms, Linux, Windows, or Docker, and Docker are also supported. So it's the same thing. You will just manage them in the very same way. Of course, depending on the features for each platform, probably you might have limitations, but I would say that it's pretty transparent for you to use DBA tools no matter what you have on the other side. It supports both integrated or native authentication, which means that we are practically 100% covered. Okay, and that's it. This is a good way to describe how what is the DBA tools and what does it support. But the other question that may arise is, what do I need to run DBA tools? What are the requirements? Okay, do I need, the first question that is usually asked is, do we need to get something installed on the server side? And the short answer is no. Actually, that's a very good thing, because we only need to get something deployed on our client. Something that is really common is that we have a management, computer that where we perform our administration tasks. We try to avoid, connecting to, by issuing a remote desktop session on the SQL servers is something that I personally avoid. So I prefer to have a virtual machine used just for management purposes. And that's the place where I deploy DBA tools. So I'm able to communicate, to work with DBA tools by issuing commands on this management server, and then I can administer all the SQL servers on the network, okay? Just from one side. You may think, yeah, okay, that's something that I can do nowadays by using management tools, Management Studio, or even Azure Data Studio. Yes, I'm pretty sure we can do it, but believe me that you will be able to do even much more when using, I'm sorry, even much more when using um, Dbatools, because it includes features from Management Studio and from other things that can only be achieved by sometimes logging on locally to the servers. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. We just need to get this installed on the client side. We don't need to deploy anything on the server side, which is great. What do I need to run it? When it comes to PowerShell, as we mentioned before, this is something that is built on top of PowerShell. And the minimum version supported is version 3. 5, 5.1 or higher is recommended, but of course, the newer the version, the more features are going to be supported, okay? It also supports Linux or Macs. And in this case, the minimum requirement is PowerShell 6.1. And just one of the latest updates, it does support PowerShell Core, which is great because the support is being extended, okay? Um, Even though I'm not going to be getting deeper on the installation process because it's pretty straightforward, and I don't want to spend time, going over the something which is simple for all of us, which we can just run, and I'm going to install it. We can just run install module on a PowerShell session, and Dbatools is going to get installed in the server. Okay, but anyway, we have different approaches. We can install directly from GitHub. We can do it online. This is particularly useful for cases when we don't have access to internet from our management server, which is something that usually happens. And then we can just get the file downloaded from other server, and then get it copied to that server, to the client, to the management virtual machine, and then we can get it installed offline, which is great. So we don't need to run, we don't need to have internet access. In addition, we actually don't need to have administrator privilege, because we can install the module on our user profile, which means that it's going to be available just for us, and we don't need to have administrator privileges, which is great to avoid all security issues related. And for us, that don't know, Chocolate is a package manager, which is available for Windows, and allows you to deploy different, packages with different tools. There are packages for many common applications, and Dbatools is one of them. So you can get also Dbatools deployed by using Chocolate, which is available as well for free as a package manager. Okay. Well, let's move forward. What do I need to know? This is quite important because sometimes of course, I'm not a PowerShell expert. Okay, so I remember a couple of years ago, probably a bit more, thinking, okay, but I'm not sure about studying using Dbatools because I would say I don't master PowerShell. But actually, and then I read a sentence that was, don't try to learn PowerShell, try doing your regular tasks on a single basis, or on a daily basis, sorry, and try to do it by using PowerShell. Then you are going to end up learning PowerShell without focusing on learning it. So do your regular stuff by using PowerShell, and then you will learn it, and that is going to be the outcome in a way. The same would apply to Dbatools. So I wouldn't say don't learn Dbatools. Nobody knows the whole set of commands. If we are talking about 592 commands, it's virtually impossible to know them all. That's something that is not going to happen. And then um, what is going to happen is that you will end up not being updated. Don't focus on that. Just try to do your regular stuff, by using Dbatools, okay? And what do we need to know? What are all the things that we need? Do I need to know a lot of stuff from PowerShell? No, you don't need to know. You don't need to master PowerShell, as I was mentioning before. You just need to, um, to know a minimum set of features and capabilities. Of course, the more you know, the more flexibility you know, you will be end up having, by using DBA tools. But anyway, that doesn't mean you need to know everything to get started. And this is the expectation for this session. We want you to start using DBA tools right away. Okay. So what I'm going to share now is what are the things that you should know in order to get started. Okay. So we're going to be reviewing, just taking a quick look on what are the PowerShell basics that we need to know, and what are the common DBA tools usage patterns that we need to take into account. I promise that if you learn just these few things, you will be using DBA tools right away after this session, okay? So what do we need to know from PowerShell? Remember, we are not going to end up being experts after this session. We just need to get something, get just a few basics to start running. And all the commands in PowerShell, okay, align to the form verb or noun, which means get date, start something, set something, remove whatever. And of course, the first part is the verb, and the second part is the noun, of course. And the same very thing applies to DBA tools. We are going to go over a different set of commands, and you will realize that this is a pattern that you're going to be seeing continuously. Okay, every time that we need to redirect something to, for instance, some of the available commands receive an input, as some of other commands provide an outcome, which is an output. So we can, in a way, connect them by using a pipeline. The output from a command could be used as an input from another command, which means that you you can you can mix all things. You can put a lot of commands together just to get some result, and that makes it really flexible. So you are going to start, once that you start managing simple commands, you will be able to apply a glue so you can make them work together. So we have commands, we can do stuff. We have a different set of commands. Um, every single module supports different commands. DBA tool is not an exception. It supports a lot of commands. The 592 we were talking about a few minutes ago, and we can redirect both the output and we can reuse the input. Once that we get an output, we can choose what we can want to get. For instance, if some specific command returns 20 fields or 10 fields, probably we don't need them all. So what might happen is that we just need to have the ability to select just a few of them, because probably I'm just trying to get a few fields instead of all the 10 or 20 that are being returned. And then that's a purpose for the select object. You can find this at select, but that's an alias. Okay, in a way you can use select object. I prefer to use select object, and then you can choose where are the columns that you want to be retrieved instead of getting the default return. Once that you have a result, you can prefer to sort it, so you can see it just like you want, and you can use for that purpose the sort object command, which is going to receive an input and get it sorted by specific criteria that you can specify. And once that you have the result, you can redirect it to a specific out. If you don't specify anything, you are going to get redirected to the standard output, which is, in short, our screen in this case, just to make it simpler. Instead, you would prefer to redirect it to an output file, a CSV file, a TXT file, or whatever, or probably you might just need to get it displayed on a grid. If that's the case, then you can use, instead of out file, we can use out grid view. So those are just 5 bullet points that we need to remember. By the end of the session, you will know them clearly because we are going to be using them. But you will see that all the things that we're going to be carrying out align to these patterns. We will use commands. We will work with redirection. we are going to select, we're going to choose what we want to be retrieved, we are going to sort the output, and we're going to define how we want the information to be displayed. Okay? So a few minutes ago, we were talking about what do we need to know in terms of PowerShell, and now we are going to know what do we need in terms of DBA tool command. Okay? Most of the DBA tool commands, this is something that I really love. The way that they documented and designed the commands is really easy to understand and to learn, because once that you start using different commands, you will realize that most of them use the same pattern and the same approach. For instance, these are some points that we will have to remember just for the first 2 or 3 commands. Once that we have run 2 or 3 first commands, then please keep in mind you are going to realize that we will never forget them. All commands that require an instance to be specified are going to receive the SQL instance parameter, which means that I'm going to run a command against an instance, so I will have to specify the SQL instance parameter. Okay? If that, which means that will allow me to connect to perform a specific task against a SQL instance. Okay? And we can define the way that we authenticate against this instance. For instance, we can use native security, or we can use integrated security. For instance, if we want to specify a specific set of credentials to be used for SQL authentication, we can use the SQL credential parameters, sorry. And that's something that we will see every time that we need to issue a command against a SQL instance. This is optional. If we don't specify that, integrated security is going to be used. Don't worry about remember all this stuff. These are just basics, and we are going to go over some commands so we can get this, remembered. And every time that we need to make a reference to a database, if we want to issue a command against a database, we will have to specify the database parameter. If we are running something against a computer, against a host, we will use the credential parameter so we can specify where our credentials. The same thing is going to happen if we're going to specify the name of the computer that we are issuing the command against to. Okay, and enable exception is something that by default, all the commands, I mean almost all the commands, are going to catch all the exception and display a friendly message, which is great. Okay, however, there are some times when we need to get some details about the reason why this is not why our command is not working as expected. If that's the case, then we will be able to specify the enable exception parameter so we can get the root cause of the problem. Okay, I said the almost all the commands because there's only one exception, and is the one that connects to an instance, which by default shows exception, and we have the opposite parameter, which is disable exception. And there's something which is great, and is a kind of safe switch, which is we can simulate in a way what is going to happen when we issue commands against our instances by specifying the what if parameter. Okay, this is something great because we will be able to see what is going to happen, sorry, and just by specifying this parameter. This is quite important when we're dealing with production environment, because DBA tools is great, but we can make mistakes, and if we just introduce a typo or do some, or specify the incorrect instance, probably if we don't have the chance to test it in a way to simulate it, then we might end up having some serious issues. So just in case we can access this feature just by specifying the what if parameter. Okay, so no more talking. Now we are going to be going over the different alternatives to see these commands running. Okay, so remember, the only thing that we have so far is some PowerShell basics and some DBA command basics, which are usage patterns, I would say. Of course, we are all DBAs, or we are persons that are in charge of one or more different SQL Server instances. Okay, so now we are going to switch to Visual Studio Code. Okay, I have prepared a set of demos, and we are going to review different stuff. Okay, and we're going to go over every single command. Of course, we are not going to cover everything because that would be virtually impossible, but we are going to be going over the most important ones and the ones that I usually use, okay, depending on the case. But the ones that I chose, thinking that this would be a good entry point for you in, if you have not used, DBA tools before. Okay, as I was mentioning a few minutes ago, we can deploy DBA tools, just by issuing install module. Okay, and there are different ways I was mentioning. I'm not going to go deeper in this topic. There are plenty of actually it's a single page where you can find instructions, and I can add you the link so you can get it here. But installing DBA tools shouldn't be a problem, and is not a problem indeed. Okay, so let's get started by using it. Okay, the first questions that may arise is, okay, how many commands? What are the commands available? And this is the first thing that I remember that I did after installing DBA tools. So what are the commands available? So I was expecting something which would be, a short list. Instead, what I got was this. Okay, a lot of commands. So this is virtually a lot impossible to read. So we have a lot of commands here. We have a list of the 592 that I was mentioning. Actually, we can count them. So if we are dealing with PowerShell, this is going to be evaluated as an object, and then we can access a property for that object, and then we can get a 592, which means that no matter what I have here, I know that I have 592 commands. Okay, but let's try to filter them out so I can find what I'm trying to find actually. And for that purpose, I'm going to use the same command. My command is get command. This does not belong to DBA tools. Actually, this belongs to PowerShell. We are using this command to search in the module DBA tools and everything that is starting with start word. And this is a wildcard. So no matter what I have here, this is going to return all commands starting with the word start. Okay, and that's pretty useful because, for instance, if I have the question, would it be possible for me to start some service? Oh, I don't know, but let's give it a try. So we are going to issue this get command, and let's try to find in the module DBA tools everything that is with the word start. It's kind of confusing. I'm sorry, I didn't choose the right word, I would say. And is this the only way that I can use to find a command? No, probably at the beginning, if you don't feel comfortable with this, you can just navigate through this link, and you will see that you have a full complete reference for all the commands. As I was mentioning before, you get this, that they are all organized in different categories. Okay, this is something that you can, this is an automatically generated documentation, which is great. And you will find everything. Every single command has a lot of information and a lot of examples, which is great. In addition to all the stuff that you will be able to find in the community, right? But this is if you don't feel comfortable with this at the beginning, which is absolutely valid, we can just browse the site and you will have all the information. The site is pretty fast and pretty simple, which is great. So you don't have to worry about the navigation and trying to find things in a hard way. No, it's quite simple. Okay, and let's move forward so we can start seeing the action. when we need to find a specific command, we can find the ones that we can, sorry, that start with a specific pattern, in this case with the beginning with the word start. Okay, we can use the find dba command. This is something from Dbatools and allows you to find a specific command that but the main difference is that this is going to search for all the information related to the command. So we can find for something which is included as part of the description. This is great. This is the command that I prefer to use usually, because sometimes we might not know what is the right word that I'm supposed to find here, but in the synopsis, I can find it. So for instance, I was trying to find something that would allow me to set or to play with the max degree of parallelism. Okay, how can I do it? Well, I don't know what is the name of the command, but I'm going to issue this one so I can find it. And I was able to find it. We can conclude here that there are a couple of commands. We are not going to use them now. Probably we'll use it later, but we just found them, okay? As I was mentioning, all the commands are categorized in different sections. And all of them are tagged, okay? So we can find the command by filtering out by using the tag parameter. So if we run this, we can find all the commands that belong to the tag backup, okay? This is just another way to get some information get detailed information related to commands and where are the available ones and how they work. For instance, if I want to get some help regarding what are the parameters and where the way that I'm supposed to invoke a command, then I can use the get help command, and this is going to show me different levels of information depending on the parameters that I have specified here. We can have detailed or full details, so I can see different examples, what is the purpose of this of these commands, and some highlights to take into account when running commands. So what we have learned so far is it's easy to install Dbatools, which is something that we're not going to focus on mostly, and we can get a list of commands, I'm sorry, by trying to find dba command, and if you need additional information once that we have found the command, if we need additional information related to how it should be invoked and what is its purpose, then you can just issue this command to get additional information. But we have not done anything so far, so let's do some stuff. The only purpose for this was, let's get introduced and let's try to find the commands that we're going to be using. Now let's move to the second script, okay? Scripts are in order just for this presentation and for you. You feel when you are going to test this, you will be able to follow them in order so you can reply this, okay? And for the sake of this presentation, I have prepared different instances. So I have the different versions from SQL Server 28R2 through SQL Server 2019, okay? And then inventory, let's try to connect to an instance. Let's suppose that we know the instances that we have, okay? Because we don't always know them all, but let's suppose we know the name of the instance and we know there's something running, on the SQL 2017, okay? So let's test the DBA connection. So this command is going to check, okay, if this server is up and running. If it's up and running, what is going to happen is that a lot of information related to the instance is going to be provided. This command is beautiful because it supports, in this case, it's using the default port. And even though I am specifying also the default port here, that doesn't mean that we cannot change it. We can use a different port here. So the connection is also allowed for for instances using the default port and the non-default port, okay? Just by using the comma here, okay? And then you can, and then you can run it and you're going to get the very same result, because actually this instance is being, is listening on the default port, okay? And what is the purpose of this? Actually, the purpose is just to check if this instance is valid, is listening and is accessible. Okay, we can run this as well for Azure. So let's suppose we have a database. Okay, and so let's try to connect. Okay, sorry if I made a typo. Okay, sorry. Well, I think I forgot the password. Okay, got it here. Well, here we got some information. I have to remember the password, of course, and because that's something that we need, the password. And after remembering the password, I was able to connect to the instance. So in the same way that I was able to test a connection from a local server, I was able to also check a possible, a feasible connection from a technical perspective to a singleton database hosted in SQL Azure Service. Okay, and so we started. This is probably something that I'm recapping, and probably something that I didn't mention. This supports, of course, SQL Azure and SQL Azure Managed Instance, and of course, SQL Server Virtual Machines, which is the same as on premises for when it comes to connecting. Okay, obviously remotely. We can also connect to by use in these cases. What we are using is integrated security. Okay, because we are not specifying, we are just connecting, implicitly. We are not specifying any credentials. So what are we going to do now? We are going to try to connect by using a different user, but specifying a SQL credential. Okay, this is great because this would be similar to running Management Studio by by issuing a run as different user in a way. But you don't need to run that. You just need to issue the same thing here. Okay, and we were able to specify our credential, and after entering the password, I was able to connect as well. So we are trying the different way to connect to an instance. Probably you are not seeing what is the benefit of this, but give me just a few more minutes so I can show you why this is pretty useful. Okay, so would it be possible for us to connect to a different instance? What about Linux? Yes, Linux is also possible. What about SQL? What about using a SQL credential? Let's give it a try here. So we are using as well in native SQL Server security. So we are dealing with integrated security. So we are dealing with native security. So no matter what kind of security strategy you have for your SQL Server, you will be able to connect by using Dbatools. So what is the purpose of just running to do something? Probably that doesn't make any sense, but this is just the very first step. Now it gets better when we are able to run these commands against multiple servers. So the more servers that you will manage, the easier it's going to be for you to perform these administration tasks. For instance, let's suppose we have these servers, which actually I do have. We're going to set up a variable, okay, which holds the list of the servers that I have prepared for this session. And we are going to use the pipeline, which is something that we talked about a few minutes ago. We are going to, the output for this, which is a variable, is going to be used as an input for this command. So this DBA connection is not going to receive an explicit SQL instance in this way. Actually, what it's going to receive is a variable containing a lot of servers. Okay, we are using 6 for this purpose, but let's see what happens. So what is going to be doing Dbatools is going to be testing the connections for all the servers specified in this string variable. Okay, and that's a lot of information, because even though this is what I wanted, Dbatools is providing a lot of information. What can I do to improve? I wouldn't say improve because this is not wrong. This is correct. It's a lot of information actually available, but I just want just a few stuff. So I can use the select object. It should ring you a bell because we talked about it a few minutes ago. And we can choose what are the columns that we want displayed. And after running this command, what I could see is that all the information that is displayed here has a name. So these are properties retrieved by the command. And I can see there's a property computer name, and we also have an instance name. We also have a SQL version, and we also have an IP address, which is over here. Okay, so this is the information that I really need to know. So I don't want to run this because this is going to, even though all the information here is useful, this is not presented in the way that I want. So what I'm going to be using, I'm going to start using the select object to select the properties that I want to be retrieved. Okay? And how do I want the information to be displayed? By using a sort of table, a format similar to a table. I just want to see all my instances to know if the connection is possible, is feasible from a technical perspective. So let's select this command and let's run it. Okay, so the same thing, the same action is going to be performed by Dbatools, but now I have a list. And this allows me to have a quick viewer. For instance, why this would be useful? This quickly answers the question, are all SQL servers up and running? Are accessible? And the answer is no problem at all. Please give me just 1 second and I'm going to let you know. And we have it here and we know what is the version, what is the IP address, and if the server is, yeah, and if the service is listening, then we will get a response. So this is starting to get better. And now we're going to add more features and we're going to get to benefit from these capabilities. We were not going to manage one server usually. We use that for learning purposes, but we usually will be able to handle multiple servers at once, okay? And but we know the instance. We know what was the name of the server. That's something that don't happen, every single time. Sometimes we need to find the possible or the available instances. This happens usually when we need to take control over a specific set of instances, but I would say the baseline is we don't know how many instances we have, so we need to find them. Okay, so we have different approaches here, and we can run different kinds of commands, and this is going to look on the network, trying to find all available servers. Okay, there are different approaches. I'm not going to go over all of them because some of them take some time. Okay, and which is great here is that Dbatools, I mentioned this, what this is trying to find some additional instances. What is great here is that SQL Server, depending on the approach chosen, will be able to use different techniques to try to find different instances. Sometimes it's going to use DNS, then it's going to use, the SQL Server browser service, and sometimes you might need to run different commands so you can get all the instances available. But the most important part here is, as long as your instances are accessible, I mean, you are not blocked by a firewall or something like that, then they are going to be found here by using this command. And once that you have all the available instances, then you can perform tasks at the same time for all of them. For instance, you might find the instances and use the result as an input for another parameter, and just by issuing one parameter, then you will be able to perform a lot of tasks just with a few lines, okay, which is great. Let's move forward and continue going deeper in this. What are the things that we can do here? We can go deeper when it comes to inventorying, okay? We need to understand what we are going to be finding in our instances, which system which sometimes inherit different instances, and we need to understand what it's in there. Okay, so there's a different command, which is get DBA computer system. Okay, that is going to provide some details related to the server. Okay, to the server itself. So we have different information related to number of logical processors, the processors being used. Okay, all the information available is going to be retrieved and displayed here. This is from a server, from a computer perspective. Okay, and we can also have information by using information related to the operating system by using the get DBA operating system command. In this case, since we are not dealing with a SQL Server instance, instead we are dealing with a computer, with a host. Once again, this should ring you a bell. We are using the computer name parameter. We are not using the SQL instance because we are working at operating system level. But if you take a look at this, I'm always using computer name or SQL instance, or let's go back or here SQL instance as well. So that's the usage pattern I was referring to a few minutes ago. Once that you start using um, just a few DBA tool commands, you will get quickly familiar with them. And believe me, that's something which is great is when you stop and think, okay, I'm pretty sure there has to be some specific command for doing this in DBA tools. And once you find it, believe me, you will be happy. And we can benefit from this. Let's use the command get DBA operating system. Again, we are going to use the computer name parameter. So we'll select this line, and this is going to retrieve information related to the operating system running on the server that we're connecting to. And this is the information that has been retrieved. Okay, and all the information that has been retrieved. What would I do if I don't want to see all the information? And this is something that we're going to be doing all over the presentation. And we will be able to run a pipeline, other pipeline, sorry, we can select our object and then choose just the information that we know. In this case, it doesn't make any sense to add the computer name since that was what I used, to filter. But probably I might find useful to find where are the servers. Okay, whereas, for instance, I could run this for different set of computers and get just the OS version installed. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go here. We have another command, which is get DBA feature. Okay, if we run this command, this is going to show us what are the installed features. These are the ones then that we chose when installing SQL Server. If we use the graphic interface, because we can do it, we can perform an unattended install by using DBA tools or probably by using configuration.ini file. But if we used just to give you an idea of, about what I'm talking about, all the things, all the stuff that you choose when installing SQL Server, all the checkboxes that you check when you're deploying, installing SQL Server are the ones that are going to be displayed here. And since there was a lot of information, I just selected just a few of the columns, and then I can see probably it should ring you a bell because those are the name of the options that are available when installing. So we are, what can we do now? We were able to connect to the, we are able to retrieve information related to the computer. We are able to retrieve information from the operating system, and we can could retrieve information from all the features installed, and we can get even more information. Would it be possible for you to get all this information by using Management Studio? Probably not. Even though you can query some DMVs to get some information related to the operating system, I'm pretty sure not all this information is retrievable by using the Management Studio, by using Transact SQL, no matter what client application you use. So that's a huge benefit from DBA tools. We can manage everything from one side just by typing our favorite commands. Let's see what else can we get from this. Get DBA service. Okay, this is a command that is going to retrieve what are the services that were deployed on a specific computer or even more. Okay, remember, we can use the pipeline to redirect the output from a variable or another command as an input, and we would get this information for more than one computer. Okay, and so let's run, for instance, this, and let's do it for 2 instances, and let's just get the computer name, the display name, and the state. Okay, and this is going to retrieve a list of all the services that are deployed on the servers, on both servers, this, and this is the reason why I added the computer name as one of the retrievable columns, the name, and the state, which is running. So do we need to connect to the server? Do we need to run the management console and to remotely connect to the server just to query? Do we need to write a complex WMI query to understand the status of the service? Nope, we don't need that. We just need to issue a command from Dbatools to get this information. So where are the services deployed on this server? And probably you might find it practical to just connect to the server, probably if you are dealing with one instance. But what about if you are managing in, I don't know, 100 of instances? That would be really unpractical. So this is getting even more useful. So we can run this, even though you could specify this by specifying directly the list of the servers. We can use it as a variable, which is great. And we can get the same thing by using a variable. And this variable could be populated from a file, from another command, and we can concatenate in a way different outcomes to, to act as incomes for as input parameter for other commands. Okay. Let's see. Let's get information. Let's get some information related to the build from SQL Server. Okay, which is probably we could say yes. I could issue a select at version, and then we can get all the version information. Actually, you wouldn't have in everything, and you can have even more information. We are going to see another little demo where showing additional information regarding to this. Okay, but and when we can download patches and to test how far are we, when comparing our current build against the latest one. Okay, and all this information can be retrieved just by issue commands. So we are talking about inventory. What are the things that we have? And we have instances, but inside an instance we have databases and different kind of objects. But let's see what are the databases for an instance. Then we can run this command, and we can have a lot of information related to where are the available databases, but I don't want the ones that are system databases. So I'm going to exclude them, okay? And I'm getting the same result because the only difference is that the master model, MSDB, TMDB are not being displayed because they are excluded. But now I'm going to choose the information that I really want to get displayed, and I can get it in this format just by selecting the columns that I want. But this is not ordered, so I would like to get it ordered in a different way. So I can specify another modifier and the command, which is sort object. It gets an input, get it sort, and then it gets redirected to output, which is our screen in this case. Okay, and then we can run this, and we have a list of databases, ordered by its name, and we have the information that we have chosen. Okay, and these are if you want to achieve this by using Management Studio, then you will have to query more than one table and join them, and you would be reinventing the wheel because this is something that is already completed. Do you want to do something in particular with this information? You can get it copied to clipboard to paste it in another place. So you can run this, and this is going to be, and let's put it here, and it's here, the clipboard. So we don't even need to select it and copy and paste it. We have it here. We don't want it to have it in a clipboard. We just want it, exported to a file. No problem at all. You can select this, and you can run this command. This is going to, use the output from this command as an input for the export CSV command. So we are going to get this, the export CSV. Of course, this is something that I would do by issuing a PowerShell command as well, but it's graphical to see how the information is being created here. So if we open this, we can have it here. Okay, this is what has been created just a few seconds ago. Okay, well, something that is really useful. If we need to find who is owning some specific object, for instance, what are all the objects that belong to a specific user? This is something that we can retrieve quickly by using this set of commands. For instance, sometimes you cannot delete a login if it's being used, as if it's been set as an owner of a job. Okay, so instead you need to change the owner, and then you will be able to drop the login. Okay, and you will be able to find who is the owner, and then you could apply specific commands to get the owner changed for a job, to get the user the login dropped. And that's also, and everything can be achieved by using Dbatools commands. Okay, this is just a set of all the objects, okay, that are owned by users on the instance. And in this case, if I want to see all the objects that are owned by me, then I can specify the pattern. If that's the case, then I will be able to get the same information, but just for me. Okay, and these are all the things that belong to me and where I'm set as an owner, and those are the things that I should change if needed. Okay, we have the instance, we have the databases, and we have the tables inside the databases. Okay, so we can run the get dba dbtable command to get a set of tables from a specific database specified in this parameter. This is a sort of new parameter, new because I think this is the very first time that we use it now, but this is one of the ones that we talked about a few minutes ago. Database is a switch, it's a parameter that can be specified for this and many other commands. We are connected to this instance, to this database, and then we are running this, and we are going to get, a list of tables. Is this what I want? This what I wanted to get? And not really. I'm going to run this one, so I can get the information more readable way, I would say. Okay. We have instance, we have databases, we have tables, and we have, of course, rows and columns. And we can also, in the same way that we can, retrieve a table, you can access the columns property and set and get all the information needed, okay, to get it displayed here. Again, this is something that we can do by using other tools, but we are running stuff only in one place and accessing all the available features from the engine. Okay. Well, let's continue. Now, we can remember, we are going over different commands are available just so you get an idea on what are the things that can be done by using Dbatools. Okay, so as I was mentioning, we are going to deal with data. Okay, we can get a database. This is the same command that we used a few seconds ago. And we can get a database and we can export the information to a CSV file. Okay, so let's connect to this instance and then to this instance, and then let's create two files. Okay, as we were seeing a few seconds ago, we only have one file here. I'm going to move this. I'm going to run this command. Okay, what has happened? I have created a couple of CSV files, one for each server because that's what I asked for. Okay. And then what I'm going to be doing is connecting to getting information from one particular database, and then I'm going to write the information to a table. So I'm able to export to a CSV file, and I'm also able to export to a table. The only thing that is going to be different is that instead of using the export CSV command, I'm going to be using the write DBA data table. And since we are writing to a table, we need to specify where is the table. So we need to specify the instance, the database, and the table that we're going to be using, okay? And that table, if as long as I specify the auto create parameter, is going to be auto created. So let's run it. Instead of getting a CSV file here, we should get um, a new table created. Okay, let's run it. So we are expecting that in this instance, SQL Server 2017, SQL 2017, I'm sorry, in test database, we should have some tables created, okay, based on the information retrieved from this command, because the output from this command was used as an input for this command. So can we check this here? Yes, we can use the sorry, the file explorer, but we are trying to learn PowerShell as well. So why not use PowerShell? So we can achieve the same result just by using PowerShell. So the more we get accustomed to using PowerShell, the better and the soon we are going to learn it. Okay. And let's try to run the stuff for the other side. We were able to export. And what about importing, for instance? Okay, let's do the following. Instead of using the export CSV command, we're going to use, which is native from PowerShell, we're going to use a specific command from Dbatools, which is import DBA CSV. This command takes a CSV file and loads it, imports it into a specific, table specified, in the form of parameters. So we have to specify where the CSV file is located, and which is here. We need to specify what is the instance where the database resides, that we're going to store the information resides in, and then we have to specify what is the table, and we're going to specify this parameter just in case our table doesn't exist. If it exists, it's going to be used. Otherwise, it's going to be auto-created. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, and how could we check how it went? We could open Management Studio, but let's try to avoid the temptation. And let's try to use the information that we know, because we're trying to learn Dbatools. So let's try to get it here. And we can get this database, which is here. We can get all the tables that we have here. And let's try to find this. Oh, and we can see we got a database. Okay, we got a list of tables, and we are just choosing the schema, the name, and the row count. This means that all the information that I have used here for running previous commands, it allowed me to create tables, okay, that were imported. Okay, so what happens if, for instance, we have multiple tables, multiple files here? Would it be possible for me to import these to a database and auto create the tables? Yes, that's possible. By using the same approach, instead of specifying one specific CSV, what I can do is run the same command, but instead of specifying the path parameter, we could use the get child item, which is PowerShell native here. This is something that we used just a few lines ago to find the contents for a specific folder, okay? And we use that, and after the outcome for this, if we run this, which is the same thing that we ran a few minutes ago, if you run this, okay, we are going to get this information, all the files over there imported as from the CSV. Let's see how it went. This is a very simple command, just to make it clear to understand and follow. This is a very simple command that we ran a few minutes ago, and we have the information here. So we can deal with data, even though we can use Dbatools for managing. That doesn't mean that we are only allowed to change configuration and running DBA tasks. We can also deal with information with data by using Dbatools, which is great. We can copy a table from one location, from one source to one destination by copying both the structure and data. This is feasible. And this is great. I love this because it shows what is the elapsed time, a lot of information that we usually need to measure and how it went. Okay, and we can run any query that we want. We just need this is a simple query to get the just the list of databases and the data that those databases were created on the recovery model that's being used. And but the purpose here, no matter the query, is to show you that by issuing the invoke DBA query command, we can run any command that we want. Okay, so we can run this, and we're going to get the result. In addition, we could also get the information, um, displayed in different format. For instance, we can run this, and all the information is going to be retrieved and stored in this variable. Okay, what does this variable have? If we just by selecting a variable and by running it, we can see the contents. That's of course PowerShell native, but we can export the results by taking the results and using it as an input from the out file command, and we can run this, and we are going to have a new file created, which is here, okay, the txt file, and then we can use this, okay, which is going to open a window, which is great. I love this feature because you have a different way to. So if you don't have to deal, if you don't want to deal with filters or complex parameters, you can get it things displayed in this window, and then you can apply filters, and then you can sort by different columns to retrieve. This is native from PowerShell. So you don't. This is not. You can benefit from this when using Dbatools module, but anyway, this is something that you can achieve by using the plain PowerShell, because the out grid view is a command that allows that. Okay. Well, let me check how we go in time. Okay. Well, let's move forward. So, when it comes to security, okay, I'm going to be focusing on the most important commands, so we can complete this to make some room for the question, of course. But there are some additional demos. When it comes to security, okay, just for you to know, as you might have already noticed, if you look at the commands, they are all in one line, okay, which is good, which is necessary most of the time. But you can, if you want to make it more readable, you can use what in PowerShell is known as splatting. Okay, by using splatting, you can define a set of parameters that you can reuse for the command, so you can specify the parameters in this form. This is great because you don't need to write everything in one line. Okay, if you try to run a command by separating the all the parameters in different lines, you're going to get an error. So this is an alternative for running commands without having to write everything in the same line. The only purpose here is to show you that there's a different approach, but the result is exactly the same. So don't worry about that. You choose the one that you feel more comfortable with. Okay. We can create new logins by issuing the command new DBA login. In the same way, we can get the additional DBA. You can retrieve information from existing DBA logins. Okay, and you just need to specify the instance, and you can even force, okay, the command in. Let's type a password. Okay, and the login has been created. Okay, we can retrieve information about this login. So we can choose here. Sorry, I'm going to make this larger. Okay, so you can see it better. And we can also check and retrieve any information related to logins, and just by seeing what is the only fields that I have selected. Something that I really love is this one. Okay, so you can quickly know what was the last time that a login was used to access an instance. That's great. And you need to do some different stuff for getting this information, and it's pretty straightforward by using Dbatools. Okay, and when it comes to users, quite similar. Okay, I'm going to skip some of them so we can move to the other ones. Um, in the same way that we can create a login, we can also create a user The only difference is that we're acting on top of a database instead of a of an instance, and, due to the difference between a login and user relation. Okay, we can also identify, sorry, just getting back to this, the only difference is we have new DBA DB user and get DBA DB user. Those are the commands to be used, okay? When it comes to identifying and fixing orphan users, we can use the get DBA DB orphan user and repair, okay? And those, the behavior is similar to the one that we can achieve by using the standard store procedure. This allows us to quickly fix and identify and fix, orphan users. Something which is really great is we can script out all the user permissions, okay, from an instance from a particular database, so we can create an specific CSV, and then we can port it to across different instances. So when you are restoring databases, you are copying and you are moving databases, then you can also script out the permissions just to deal with them and to change them as needed, okay? We can, something which is pretty useful, and probably you may know the SP Help Rev login. That's a store procedure provided by Microsoft, but that has been widely used to script out all the available logins on an instance. Its main purpose is to make sure that you are running a create login statement by including by reusing the existing seed, okay, because that is pretty useful for when we are dealing with for instance, when log shipping or with availability groups, okay. Well, let's move forward. So just checking, Blade, how are we with time?
You've got 10 minutes left.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we've got lots of time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can do it. Well, something that is really useful when we need to understand where are the members of a login, and when it comes to dealing with Active Directory. So if we run these commands, we will know what are the groups that this user belongs to in Active Directory. Before having this command, what I did was to run an LDAP query or run other different tools such as AD Explorer to find some information on the Active Directory, but that's no longer needed if you have DBA tools available. Okay, and just to finish this chapter, we can also, this is something that I'm pretty sure that we have faced before, and we lost the access to an instance. Someone, the sysadmin account, the SAL account is probably, I don't know, nobody remembers the password. And even though we can, different ways to force, by running emergency mode, by, impersonating a system user, even though we have different approaches, DBA tools summarizes everything, and even trying different approaches by issuing one command. So this way, by using the reset dbadmin command, we should be able to regain access to an instance by resetting the user, the SA user password, login password. Okay. Well, let's move forward. Just when it comes to backing up databases, we have all the stuff needed to work with backups. We can of course back up databases, and no matter what type of backups I need to perform, it is going to be available in DBA tools, just by specifying the instance, the database or the databases that we want to back up, specifying the type of backup, log, full differential or transactional log, and we can specify the path and the name of the file. We can, of course, all the available options, we have them here to compress, to perform a checksum, and to verify the backup after being created. And this is pretty straightforward. Just let's run this, and we can have we can back up a set of databases. We don't need to do it in the same way that we have applied before. And we don't have to do it one by one. We can do it by using a list of databases, and this is going to be, processed. And we can see the history for backups, okay? And not only the backup history, also the restore history. We can see what has been backed up, or what has been restored, okay? And even for an instance or a database, we can check for all the backups for one database. We can also get information about the backups for a specific type. In this case, I'm choosing full. And we can get also what were all the backups carried out, taken, by since a specific date. And that's something that is, quickly filtered and provided by Dbatools. So we can also, of course, restore databases, okay? And we can allow Dbatools to perform the restoration, or instead we can just ask for the output script. If that's the case, then we can get the script and run it afterwards, and that's an option, okay? So that's also valid. We can also, let's run this, okay? And we can also get the restore history by using the get db restore history, okay? In this case, we'll get all the information related to all the databases that has been previously restored on this instance, okay? Something that is really useful when dealing with multiple production and staging or development environments. Please copy this database from this server to another server. So instead of backing up manually and get it copied and then get it restored, then Dbatools automates this task just by issuing the copy DBA database and specifying a source, which is the server, and a destination. Dbatools is going to create, we have different approaches here. We can ask Dbatools to perform a backup and restore, or instead we can use the detach approach, depending, any of them has different benefits, but we can choose depending on probably on the size and on the availability as well. If we need to, if we want to go for the approach of attach and detach, we will need to interrupt existing connections, which is something that doesn't happen when it comes to when using the backup restore approach. So we just can run this, and this is going to be copied from one server to another server. Of course, here the same restrictions apply when it comes to we cannot restore a database that was created on a higher version, but this is the same that would happen for even if we are running that manually, okay? So let's move. When it comes to administration, we can play with the configurations. And as you know, we can get all the information from SQL Server in terms of parameters by running the sp-configure store procedure or the sysconfigurations table by querying this table. SQL Server provides, Dbatools provides specific commands for dealing with that. And we can ask for all the configuration for a specific instance. We can get a specific set of columns just as usual, okay? So in this case, we are getting all the parameters that are being retrieved by querying by executing the sp-configure by querying the sysconfiguration tables, the instance level parameters, and we can get them sorted so we can check where the values that are already set. For instance, I would like to know what is the max degree of parallelism, the threshold for parallelism, if my optimize for ad workloads is enabled, or the default backup compressions, which is the most typical, options that we tune, when dealing with servers. So we can filter out some specific options, and we can set a little servers again, and we can use the same store procedure to get this information. And just by filtering out a specific set of configuration values, and we can get the instance, the name of the parameter, what is the running value, and the configured value, the one that is going to be applied once the instance after the next restart for the instance. So I could get, let's suppose we have, I don't know, 50 servers, 50 instances. Instead of connecting to, to each of them, I could run this and I could get all the configuration values for these parameters. So I would be able to change them by using specific algorithms included in Dbatools that are going to provide a recommendation to get the most, the most accurate value for this scenario. For instance, when it comes to max degree of parallelism, there's an algorithm that has been created by the community and implemented on Dbatools that is going to calculate the recommended max degree of parallelism depending, on the configuration of the instance. Okay, depending on the characteristics of the instance, and then we
Hey,
can.
Daniel,
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to let you know there are 3 minutes left until we've got to get to
Perfect.
the next session.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so just summing up, we can, just to give you a quick overview, this is something that you're going to get in this script. So you are going to get all the script that you have used for this session and even more, because we wasn't able to complete all the stuff. There's a very interesting part which is related to how to test the build, for the current build for our SQL servers. Okay, and Dbatools provides a way to automate the check for for checking compliance against the latest version based on the one that is installed. Everything is included. Unfortunately, we won't be able to cover it, but that's part of the latest scripts. On these latest parts, we were talking about some of the features that can be highlighted when it comes to SQL Server administration. Weight statistics, measure some speeds, access DMVs, get estimates for backups, and then we are closing with patching and migration as well. So unfortunately, we weren't able to complete this, but this is something that is going to become available. It is actually available in the scripts that are going to be uploaded right after this session. So
Perfect. Yeah.
Impossible to cover everything, but I hope you.
I know you did such a great job, though. So I just want to thank Daniel for his time today.